I'd like to reconvene this council meeting, starting with our hearings this evening. Welcome everyone that's here. Welcome back, staff. Is there any conflict of interest for any councillors on these items? Okay, seeing none, we'll go right into the hearing section. To start our first hearing, which is development variance permit, I will read an opening statement, then we'll ask for a seconder and mover to the motion. I would like to open up the hearings for DP 422. Following the hearing of the motion, I will request the Director of Development Services to explain the development. I will then ask 3 times for submissions from the gallery, giving the opportunity for the applicant and public to speak. Council will have the opportunity to ask questions. Once this is complete, I will close the hearing and council will vote on the motion. Can I have a mover and seconder for the motion? Councillor Wallace-Richmond. Councillor Flynn, thank you. Administrator, would you read the motion, please?
Moved by Councillor Wallace-Richmond, seconded by Councillor Flynn, that DP 422 be authorized for issuance for Lot A, Plan 10183, in accordance with the drawings dated March 26, 2019, and that issuance be withheld subject to receipt of a letter of credit in the amount of 125% of a landscaper's estimate.
Thank you. Director of Development Services.
Your Worship, this is a form and character development permit application for the vacant lot, approximately 5 lots west of Piccadilly Mall on the north side of 10th Avenue Southwest, 1441. Here's the property shown on the ortho photo. On the adjacent property to the west, there's a new development, the Pro Air building and a cheese factory. And on the subject property, what is proposed is a building with a footprint of approximately 4,000 square feet, two levels with 2 proposed upper floor dwelling units. And on the main level, C3 service commercial uses proposed. The site's rather narrow. It's a relatively narrow lot for a commercial property. It's 22 meters in width. It's quite deep. It's 2,000 square meters in total area. The parking is distributed, approximately half of the parking stalls in the front yard and some along the rear yard. And there's a fairly large storage yard in the back too, about the same size as the building. There's a drive aisle which is 5.7 meters in width, and there's a 1 meter setback along the east property line. And as mentioned at the planning committee meeting, it's a steel fabricated building with a fancy facade designed by Dennis Lowe. And this one was also, I guess, reviewed by an architect, Mark Lamerton, and it was reviewed by our design review panel. And considering the size and scale of the development in the property, staff are supportive of it, and we think it would be a good addition along the street.
Great, thank you very much. I'll call 3 times for input and submission, starting with the applicant. Would the applicant like to come forward? Okay, you're just here to answer questions. All right, no troubles. I'll ask for a second time if there's anyone who would like to come forward and give input to this application. Asking a 3rd time. I will open it up to questions from council, for staff, or the applicant. Asking for a last time. Okay, I will declare this hearing closed. We will now vote on the motion. If we could have the motion back up on the screen, please. Any comments from council? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We will move forward. Item 22, we have 2 statutory public hearings this evening. Before we start our hearings, I'll read the opening statement. This public hearing for bylaws number 4326 and 4327 is convened pursuant to Section 464 of the Local Government Act. At this public hearing, anyone who believes their interest in property is affected by these matters will be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard or to present written submissions to council. If you wish to speak concerning the proposed bylaws, please approach council and begin your presentation by clearly stating your name and residential address. The function of council this evening is to receive the views of the public and ask questions regarding the submissions. Council will not debate the merits of this proposal with individuals. Background documents related to the bylaws and written submissions that have been received by the city are available for inspection by the public and are located in the binders on the table by the entry doors. All written submissions will be retained by the corporate officer for review by council and by members of the public. To ensure everyone a reasonable opportunity to be heard, the following rules of procedure have been established. 1, please direct all submissions to the chair. I will then redirect questions to the correct staff person. 2, following the introduction of the bylaws by city staff, the floor will be open for presentations, starting with the applicant and followed by other interested parties in the order in which the chair recognizes them. 3, presentations will not be limited unless the submission is not relevant to the proposed bylaw. 4, there will be 3 calls for submissions prior to the closing of this public hearing. I ask that everyone respect the views of others. Try to keep your presentations as concise as possible. Legislation does not permit council to hear or receive submissions from the public after the hearing is closed. I would now ask the Director of Development Services to explain bylaw number 4326.
Your Worship, the proposed bylaw proposes to rezone Lot 4, Plan 23814, addressed at 2130 First Avenue Northeast from R1 Single Family Residential to R8 Residential Suite Zone. There's a single family dwelling presently on the property, and the proposal is to construct a detached suite in the rear yard of the property. The applicant is Anne Marie Johnson.
Great, thank you. And that should be zone number 1143. Would the applicant like to come forward?
I think I'm okay.
All right, if we have any questions, we'll ask you. Okay, we'll ask for a first time if there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this application. Asking for a second time and for a third time. Councillors, do you have any questions about this application? Seeing none, we will go on to our next item. Zoning Amendment Bylaw Application 1144. I'll ask the Director of Development Services to explain this one.
This bylaw proposes to rezone Lot 1, Plan EPP 69695 for the property addressed at 2810 25th Street Northeast from R1 Single Family Residential to R8 Residential Suite Zone for the purpose of legalizing a basement suite. There is a single family dwelling on the property with a suite in the basement. The applicant is Ms. Stevens.
Thank you. Let's start by asking if the applicant would like to come forward and say anything. We have very quiet applicants tonight, which is fine. I'll ask for a first time if there's anyone in the audience who would like to come and speak. Asking for a second time. For a third time. Council, any questions or comments on this application? Calling for last time if anyone would like to have input. Okay, I'll declare these public hearings closed, and we'll move forward to item 23.1, consideration of bylaws. We have a proposed motion on the screen. I need a mover and seconder. Councillor Lindgren, Councillor Lavery.
I was ready.
Thank you. Council.
Okay.
Does anyone have a comment or question they would like to ask? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Item 23.2, with a motion on the screen. Councillor Eliason, second by Councillor Cannon. Thank you. Council, any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Item 24, question and answer period. Does anyone from the audience have a question they would like to ask us? Okay, we have a motion to adjourn.
Moved by Councillor Lavery, seconded by Councillor Wallace-Richmond, that the regular council meeting of April 8, 2019 be adjourned. All those in favor?
Thank you very much, Council, and thank you, applicants. Very agreeable after your class.